pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. Commissioner Livingston is out today, so he won't be here. But first thing we have is the consent agenda.
Madam Chairperson, I move we approve consent agenda.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. Well, we can go a couple minutes early. It's not a public hearing. So Cody, Council on Aging. You're welcome.
Morning, my name is Katie Brass. I'm the president of the Council on Aging. This is Leah Renaud, the assistant director. We will be presenting this morning.
Okay.
No, nothing. I have no idea how to go about this. So that's why we're here, is to learn how to do, is to learn the process here. So
Okay.
I presume you ask questions and we answer?
Well, what we have is, I'm pretty sure we had things submitted. Let me get there. A request submitted for $47,000 supplemental to your normal budget.
That would be correct.
So the kinds of things that we'd like to hear is number one, the use of the money used for matching grants. How is this beneficial to you, and why is it important that you receive the money from us?
Without the matching grants, we can't get the money from the state and the federal government. And so, and this year with COVID, our public donations is quite a bit lower than normal. And so this money is more important this year than ever in helping to support us so that we can get the other funding.
We had the thrift store was closed last year for a good part of the year, and that's a big money maker for the center. And without having the indoors open and nobody allowed in, we kept our meals up curbside and home delivery. So nobody was neglected, and we kept our transportation one-on-one. So that was not neglected either, but it doesn't matter. All the expenses continue to incur whether or not we were receiving people in or out. And our meals are a suggested donation. You don't have to pay for it. In hard times, a lot of people do not, so we try and cover those meals, so they're not neglected.
Sure. So looking at, obviously you're here because money's tight and everything, and
Right.
you're one of the lucky ones the last year or two that you haven't been drastically cut. And so with the COVID last year, you didn't save any money due to that. So, and I guess to enlighten why you're here is we've asked everybody that's coming before us for special funding request. I think you guys do a great job. You're more than justified the money that we give you, and you use it very well. The new Commissioner Mangold, I know he may have some questions, but you're not asking for any more than what you've received in the past. You didn't, because of COVID, you actually received more, maybe more expenses and less revenue
Right.
possibilities. So I appreciate your coming in. That's all I have.
Well, one question, you use the money for a match, and I notice it's a whiteout match. So does most of it go to transportation or does it go to
No.
just about everything?
It kind of gets spread across
Okay.
in several different areas. YDOT 5311 is definitely one of them. But it also assists with our Title Free C program, which breaks down into the meals and the other activities that
Okay.
we
So
offer.
they have no stipulation at all, the match as far as what you're spending it on.
That's a gray area. No, YDOT is transportation. So the YDOT 5311, that is just transportation, and the amount, the money that goes to that.
We have to grant, we get the YDOT, our transportation is covered by YDOT.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
but the other things, if we have to take a transportation driver covered by YDOT and use that person for something else, we have to pay that fee.
Okay.
If they don't they cover for YDOT covers for YDOT, and we have to be very careful with that we don't see what I'm saying, try and utilize people where the grant
They
doesn't
assist
cover
with
for them.
those expenses.
Yep.
You know, so.
How's the attendance and stuff? Are you gaining people back now? And
Absolutely.
Oh,
Okay.
we're in full swing. We've got
Yeah.
all kinds of
But-
physical activities, cards, dining room is rocking with all kinds of stuff. So yeah, we're back in full swing.
Yeah, little at a time. It's
Yep.
been really nice to watch that dining room fill back up again.
Yep.
Yep.
But they're, still it's difficult for people, so we still try and, we supplement where we can.
We still offer our in-home rolling meals type of, it's exactly the same as rolling meals. Only it's offered to any senior that's 60 or over who feels unsafe leaving the home at this point, rather than just those that are homebound. And then we are still doing the curbside meals for those who don't want to enter. And then we have the dining room as well for the congregate meals, and we have activities. So it's kind of based on their comfort level, what they want to do. And we just are trying to make sure and maintain all of those things.
Okay. Any other questions?
Just one more. One of your expenses, the Matisse Senior Center, you also help cover the people in Matisse as well?
Yes, we do. Matisse is our satellite center, and I am also the statistician, so I can talk about this a little bit. They have a director and a cook there, and they're open twice a week, and they serve meals. They also did the curbside all the way up until very recently. But we do all of their paperwork. Our funding helps to fund them as well.
Okay, anything else?
Great, thanks for coming in, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll take it all under advisement and we'll work on budgets first part of June.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know if Bobby's out there. Okay. Hi, Bobby.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
You and Brittany? Morning. We're ready when you are. Presentation of your request.
Well, good morning. I know we've all met. I'm Russ Dwyer. I met you. I'm the chairman of the Conservation District. With me, I have Brittany Swoop, our new employee, Bobby Holder, Rory Carhew, Richard Jones, and Carmen McIntyre, the water sampling contractor we're using. First, I'd like to thank you for your support. With the aid of the office, we received a grant to hire an employee. And we have that grant money through the end of next year so far. So we're actually getting to accomplish things. We have a sampling program going, which Carmen is overseeing. Brittany is a field tech. She works with Rory Carhew, the NRCS district conservationist. And he provides the people in this half of the county, because their office is in Powell. So Tuesdays, he is in the office you guys have provided us to meet with producers, and they go out from here and do certifications of practices and initial meets. So it makes it easier for the people who live in Cody and up the North Fork and South Fork. They don't have to travel as far to see the NRCS. The funding request that we submitted to you, hope everybody read it. It's basically just to help us set up some, because we also just got a grant to do county well testing. So we'll cost share with anybody, well, 14 people this year, but to do well tests, water tests for their well. And we'd like to do something similar with soil testing. So some of the money we get from you will be used to offset that cost and just offset the cost of paying bills. Because currently, besides our salary, we get $8,000 from the state. So we've asked for the same from the county. One of the things that we'll do is, instead of us just turning our budget into the county, it will have to come before the commissioners to be approved. Any money, and the same thing applies if we get the mill levy, when we ask next time, if we get any monies from the county, our budget has to be approved by the commissioners. So you can get out.
Do you anticipate going back to the voters next year?
Yes, sir. That was one of the other things that, yes, we do anticipate. We're up to what? Done two, like we were at the Home and Garden Show, well received. A lot of people didn't know we exist. And I think that was our major, with the fact that what happened in 2020 happened. A major problem for us was that people don't know we exist. People don't know what we do.
Well, I'm very much in favor of conservation districts. And I think one of the problems you had last year was the fact that you didn't go out and actually do your homework and your PR work, because most of the people don't even realize what conservation districts do. They have no idea.
And we had a plan to do that, but that plan involved public interaction, and in 2020, public interaction was sort of stifled, to say the least.
Madam Chair, and I would recommend that you put it on the general ballot, only because there's way more people that vote, and I know that sounds a little intimidating, but if you have the right following, it might project to be a better turnout for you.
As long as there's not 3 other tax initiatives on the general ballot.
At this point, it doesn't matter how many there are, I don't think. It all depends on how well you've presented the program and everything. And I just think maybe you would have had a better chance of passing it in the general with as many voters that turned out as opposed to the primary. But I might be wrong.
Madam Chair, I'm the newest supervisor in this district, but it's one thing that was astounding to me when I first got involved with it. I was generally familiar with it. But it's one of only 2 districts in the entire state that doesn't have a permanent funding source, either by mill levy or by support from the county. And this district and the Powell Clark Fork district are kind of on their own. So, this was established in 1942. So it's been a long time coming. The other thing that astounded me is that this particular district, with all the watersheds we have, is a little over 2 million acres. It's approximately the size of Yellowstone that we're responsible for, and that kind of shocked me a bit too. All the watersheds that are in this district coming out is as big as Yellowstone National Park, and yet we're working on some grant money for one employee. So I don't know if you're aware of that or not.
My question, I guess, is are we here today looking at this standalone? Because if so, I suggest that it's not part of our 23 different special funding requests. And my suggestion would be to wait and review this at budget time when we know closer to how much money, and add them if it can be to a special funding request list in reference to their presentation today.
That would be fine. I don't see any reason.
I don't
that
think
it
we need
won't
a
fit.
motion
Yeah,
for that, do we?
that would be the proper procedure.
I don't think
And, in the past, they've never come to us for money
Right.
with special funding. So this is a first time deal.
And that's why they're not on the list, I understand. So, but we don't need an action to do that, do we?
No.
Okay.
No, and we can add them through a motion when we approve all the special.
I had a quick question. If I'm moving to a new subdivision, which a lot of people are, putting in a well lot, and then there's a smell to it, is there an agency that refers to you guys? Who, for people don't know, who do they call, and do they refer to you guys? Or are there other people that they can, maybe even a private agency who does?
Well, previously, before I moved a little closer to town, I lived on a well, and we just went to Energy Labs. And a lot of people are just, because I had to call 3 people, and it turned out one of the guys that shared the well with us knew that we could do it there. So, which is why we're just sort of, I guess, going to be the point of contact. They would call us, and we would, we cost share for the first 14, and we'll have the sampling kits, and they're gonna have to take them up there because we don't have a vehicle to run them up there. So, but, and then the bill will come to us, the report will come to us, and we'll forward it to the individual.
Because I know that the guy who runs a trout ranch, he also puts in water systems, and he'll test for free, but I don't know how extensive a test
Well,
like that would be.
It's definitively not the same test.
Right.
The tests we're doing will be herbicides, pesticides, chlor. Yep. Thank you. E. coli. And if it's just an E. coli test that somebody wanted, we can actually do that in the office because we have Carmen, and she's certified for water testing, and she does the when we do stream sampling and stuff. So we could do the E. coli right there in the office. So.
Okay. What we'll do from the sound of, if you have something else you want to,
I just brought some handouts for you
Okay.
guys, just
that'd
some,
be great.
so I'll just give the stack to you guys and you can pass them out.
Okay. And then, as Commissioner Teal mentioned, what we'll do is take it under advisement for your request of $8,823. And I'm assuming the office situation should stay the same as far as I know, but that will all be discussed as we get into doing our final budget work, which is about the first 2 weeks in June.
Okay.
So as we work through that, we'll get back with you if we have any questions.
Okay.
So,
Madam Chair, can I make a quick comment on NRCS partnership? with
Yes.
the district? You may not realize, but NRCS had a presence, a long time here. And then we haven't had that presence since I've been here in 2010. So this is a big shift for us to come back, and it's really nice the office was available. But me coming here on Tuesdays makes it a lot easier for producers to meet with us, but also having a employee with the district is a huge step in the right direction, because now she's being our partner. She can be set up with our computer, our training, and also be able to go out on site, meet with people, do the inventory, essentially serve very similar to myself in what we can do. So it really spreads out that effort, and really the limitation from producers in this area working with NRCS is the ability to have somebody out on the ground and meeting with them, certified practices. So it already has started to and will bring significant federal funds into this district just by having her trained up and understanding our programs and being able to have the job approval authority and the authority to certify those practices as we train her. So really important point to understand. It brings potential for significant, hundreds of thousands of dollars or more.
Cool. And you said the grant for the employee goes for how long?
The grant for the employee we have through 22, because we're still
Another
working.
election cycle. We can-
So, well, yeah, and that's, we till after the election cycle is, so that's, we've been on the radio once, we got another one scheduled.
Okay.
So we're trying to do the things that we need to do to make sure people are aware of what we're doing.
Cool.
And
Farmers markets.
the farmers markets, they're there regularly. And we went down to Cheyenne on Thursday we've trying to get a level 1 study done on the Shoshone River. Us and Powell went together so that hopefully we've passed hurdle 1 of about 3.
Water development.
So yeah, in front of the Water Development Commission. So we should know, I think, in October if we've got it. So.
Okay, cool. Any other questions?
No, thanks for coming in.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Richard. Next up, we'll have planning and zoning planner 2, Kim Dolan, Johnson subdivision partial vacation and amended plat.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. So the zoning for this property is GRP. Obviously, it's just southeast of Powell. I know you've had a chance to look at this amended plat. The planning area is Powell. So we did receive an amended plat application from the MOX, and that occurred in early April this year. You saw that application. The requested action is the parcel vacation and amended plat for these 6 lots that are currently in the Johnson subdivision number 4. And you see again that amended plat on figure 1. And those lots essentially, I think, are around 3/4 of an acre. And my understanding for the combining of these lots, so they're combining, it's a total of 6 lots. They're going to have, when it's all said and done, 3 lots. My understanding is just to make the lots bigger. And on some of these lots, there are some buildings that straddle lot lines. So the purpose is basically just to clean up in a way the subdivision and make lots bigger. History, this Johnson subdivision number 4 was approved in January of 1970. The ownership of all these are basically owned by the MOX. And on one deed, you've got the 50L39 and 50L40 together. And then on another deed, the 41, 42, 43, 44 are together. But again, these 6 are all, our understanding is they're all separate lots. Legal description, that's on the second page. Location, this subdivision is 2 miles south of Powell. It's about 0.17 miles east of Highway 295. It's on Roney Avenue, which is a private road. And you see, again, I said the amended plat is in figure 1. On figure 2, you see the location and location relative to Powell. This is a parcel vacation of existing plat. Our regs say to do the parcel vacation, because these current lots will go away, and as you know, they'll be renamed, an amended plat is required, and an amended plat must be approved, our regs say, by the Board of County Commissioners. It's our decision whether or not a public hearing is required. Our planning director thought that no one else would be negatively impacted, so Joy said no public hearing is required. And then we have listed here the amended plat process. Fees, the fee has been paid. Draft amended plat has been sent to us. You had a chance to look at that. In terms of neighboring use, the surrounding uses are really all residential. Site characteristics is this property is relatively flat, mostly irrigated land, some bare ground. There are some structures, there are some residences. Again, no public hearing was required. Madam Chair, we've not received any public comments. We have listed here the amended plat process that we went to. There is certificates of dedication on the amended plat for people to sign, the property owners, of course, for the commissioner chair to sign. And we did have some findings of fact that we shared with you, and we did have just one condition that we recommended, and our recommendation is you approve this partial vacation and amended plat. And I'm happy to answer any questions, should you have any.
Questions?
No questions, but I'll go ahead and move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the amended plat. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Twenty-five.
25, thank you. Gordon.
A break for a few minutes, and we'll be back at 10:15.
This doesn't.
Morning, CJ.
Come on up.
Good morning, and thank you so much for giving us a little bit of time. The purpose of our presentation today is to just let you know some of the things that we've been up to for the last year and a half. It's been about that long since we were in here before. And I also want to introduce Carmen McIntyre. Carmen is our watershed coordinator. We were fortunate enough last year with Carmen's help, we wrote a grant to Bureau of Reclamation, one of the Water Smart grants. It was a $100,000 grant. And the purpose of this is to continue to study the area above Willwood Dam. And it came out of the work group 3 work. And we'll continue to study that and try to better understand sediment sources and at the same time identify potential projects. And that takes a person with a lot more skill set than what I had. So this worked out very, very well. Carmen came on board and it's been very, very helpful. So, yes. So with that in mind, I've pretty much discussed where we are with our Bureau of Rec grant. We were able to use some of those funds to update some hardware and software. We're continuing to monitor for sediment, which is an expensive proposition. And we're continuing to work with property owners and managers to identify potential sediment reduction projects. I will say the Bureau of Rec, the folks that we've had to work with have been outstanding. They're very good about if they don't understand what we're doing or we need some clarification, they have no problem calling a virtual meeting and we get get all the right people in the same queue and it's just working very, very well together. I'm very tickled with that. The other project that we're working on is again, as a subset of Work Group 3, we got a Wyoming Department of Ag grant to install cameras. We've got 12 cameras. We're going to install these at the confluence of the Shoshone and the major tributaries as they come down above Willwood Dam. And the purpose of that is to give us a snapshot. These are time-lapse cameras. We've got them set for every 15 minutes. And what it's going to do is provide us a visual snapshot of what that water looks like, recognizing that you can't have enough bodies to go out and hit the rain events or hit the major irrigation events or anything else. And what that'll allow us to do is correlate those snapshots to the spikes that we're seeing with the acoustic equipment that we have at the dam. And what that'll allow us to do then is maybe start identifying sources. So we're in the process of getting that done. We've actually got 2 up and installed and running right now. We're in the process of trying to get people run down and to get written permission. That's the slow part right now. But we're continuing to work on that. But I just wanted you to be aware that that was going on. It's kind of a cool project. The other thing that we did with the Department of Ag is I did get a small amount of money, $640 for time associated with small acreage education. It's no doubt that things are running amok in Park County with people coming in and a lot of people that don't have really a clue on what irrigation is, how to live with it. We visited with the Heart Mountain Irrigation District. We visited also with Willwood Irrigation District and Shoshone Irrigation District. And they are very willing to help us with that educational piece. And we're trying to work together as a cohesive unit also with Park County Weed and Pest, trying to get our small acreage team back in place and get that going. With that in mind, I did put in a request here for $640. That was to match that WDA funds. And that would primarily be used for mailings and office supplies associated with handouts and that sort of thing.
So Madam Chair, the request you're talking about here, I'm looking at is from the Department of Ag, or this is in addition to? In addition to, it did match it. It would match it. The 640, all that amounted to was time associated with planning, putting the thing together and doing the presentations. So the request is to the state, not for us.
And no, I've already requested 640 from the state and got it. Now I'm asking for a match from you guys if it's possible.
And you're okay.
If that's possible.
We can discuss this now.
Yeah, that's
We'll discuss it
absolutely.
later.
That's absolutely, but if that's what it would be for. That's one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you guys directly about what it was for. Again, it would be aimed strictly at small acreage education processes.
Madam Chairperson,
Yes.
just a quick question, follow-up. You finally filed necessary paperwork with the clerk's office?
No, I wasn't. I honestly,
This is probably different. She just wants a one-time matching. So like we have money in land environment, you guys have extra
We do.
money for different things. This isn't something, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe you want on our special funding list.
I don't think so. No, not at this point.
$40 every year.
No, I don't think so. At this point, I want to see what I want to do is see if some of our plans that we have are going to work. And I just don't have enough latitude to deal with it because when you live in the grant world, you're kind of you're married to what you said you were going to do. And one of the things that we recently found out about was the every mailbox mailing that is relatively cheap and it's will get the word out to a lot of people. And that would take $640, that match would take care of 2 mailings. And that'd be 2 good sized workshop. One would be a soil health workshop, the other would be a small acreage. Both of them would have value to new people coming into the area. That's kind of what we have in mind. But rather than go through a bunch of paperwork and stuff like that, and then still have to, you guys still wondering what the heck is she up to? I thought it'd be easier just to come in and talk to you. And then if there's something else I need to fill out or tell me, just tell me what I need to do and we'll go ahead and get that taken care of. Did that kind of
It
make
would
sense?
just be a voucher if you approve it.
Okay.
Mr. Tilden, are you checking our budget for?
I believe he is. I don't have my budget book up here, guys, sorry.
But I recognize, I read the article in the
No.
paper the other day, and I recognize you guys are having to stretch it pretty hard too.
Madam Chair, we do have a line item, but I know we have spent some out of it, so I don't know how we could, how quick we could update. I'd have to go back to look at Steve's latest as to where we're setting as far as that. In the line item, I don't know but overall, also, I think it's a good idea. I just, I don't know that I want to approve it today and then have to go for 640 and find out we have to do a budget amendment because of it.
Okay, that's fine. You guys understand your budget processes. Just let me know and we'll proceed. But that'd be what I was after. And again, this kind of fell into place because of some overlap with the tree program that we had. And I saw a different alternative of getting tree information out. And I thought this would work even better than some of the things that I was thinking about doing for small acreage. But that's where we're at. And then the other thing, we have the level 1 watershed study. That's going amazingly well as far as moving through the process. What we did with that is Carmen put together the study application, and then we were able to go through and we put on a field tour. That was very well received. We had 2 of the water commissioners plus Mike Robertson from Cheyenne came up, and we were able to do the Cody side of it, since I think the point that Russ made is that the sheer acreage is immense. And a lot of people just can't get their arms around that. And so we did the Cody side of it in the office with a lot of maps and a physical presentation. And then we literally got in the cars and started touring several projects and did some looking around on the ground over in the Farm Valley. And I think this is probably very appropriate. What we're seeing in the county, of course, is a pretty dramatic change of land use. And at the same time, we're seeing irrigation infrastructure continuing to age. And we're seeing our potable water infrastructure starting to get pressed. So with that in mind, I think this is a good time to do it. Carmen and I did take some time and came in and visited with Joy Hill with the idea of saying, in the ideal world, Joy, what would you want to get out of a study like this? Because we're very interested in understanding exactly how the hydrology works for water wells. I'm hoping to get some of that out of this study, or at least lead into the next phase of it so that we can get there. Sometimes these studies, you do them in steps, but we're hoping that we can get there through this, and wherever we can, we're trying to get the biggest bang for the buck on this. That's why we came in and bothered Joy to try to get her input on this as well. So it's okay. And with that in mind, these are our concerns that we have coming ahead of us. These are some of the tasks that we're going to be trying to address next year. Obviously, we're losing a lot of ag lands, and Cody Conservation District and Powell Clark's Fork work together to try to come up with a, if not identical, but at least a similar subdivision review, so that people would at least understand, I look here for this, here for this, here for this, and what the source of the data is. We're going to be focusing on small acreage education. We're concerned about the number of potable water wells it looks like are going to be drilled, especially at the same time that we're working fairly aggressively at reducing sediment. And one of the major tools for reducing sediment is to install pivot irrigation or surge valve irrigation, which dramatically reduces the deep water supply that you would get that's probably feeding some of these shallower wells. And the information that I got through NRCS, there was a pretty good report that they had talking about the hydrology of the Powell Valley. And it looked like if a potable well was drilled down 120 feet, that was probably getting down into the real aquifer and past the sponge that sits on top. But anything that's sitting there on top, those 80, 75, 80, 100-foot wells, as we change the hydrology, and certainly putting in a subdivision is going to change the hydrology. Certainly installing a pivot is going to change the hydrology. Those wells are possible things that are going to have a hard time. So we just have a lot of opportunities to learn. The other thing we're concerned about is the number of new septic systems with the kinds of soil we have. And I'm already working with the irrigation districts to try to find reasonable sites to do E. coli testing so that we can get a good baseline this summer during the peak of the irrigation system and before a whole lot of these bigger subdivisions go into place. So we can have at least some baseline of what the ground, what that looks like now. And we'll be testing some of the irrigation water and some of the canal water as well. So that's kind of what we're up to. Do you guys have any questions or any suggestions for?
Madam Chairman, just a comment. I had a couple that had just moved in by the radio station in Powell, and they were asking me how to irrigate. And I said, well, get a hold of Shoshone. Maybe they could give you an idea. But the whole thought of us, you get all these people moving to these subdivisions, and all of a sudden they're trying to irrigate, maybe doing it wrong and using up water for somebody down the line, a farm down the line that needs the water desperately.
One of the things that I've thought about doing, and I'm going to go out and talk to and this sounds odd, but I know it works. I'm going to go out and talk to the greenskeeper at the golf course because they irrigate a lot of ground and they do it with pressurized sprinkler systems, but they don't do it with the big pivot or anything else. It's a well laid out, thoughtful plan. And I would like to have him help us put together what would make sense for a small acreage lot to have an enclosed sprinkler irrigation system with a pump on it that would actually work. And no, why not go to someone that does it for a living? And I don't, because I the big squirts, they sounded good, but basically all they did was pound the ground to death. They didn't work all that great. But I think we have some opportunities to get out of the box. And that was one of my hit lists for hopefully tomorrow, maybe the next day, and see if I can get out there and visit with him and have him maybe put together something that would make sense for a 1 acre, 2 acre, 3 acre plot that would be workable.
I think Heart Mountain Irrigation has been doing some of that. I know I have a subdivision next to me that's probably been there 8 to 10, 12 years. I'm losing track of time there, but they were required to put in sprinkler irrigation.
They were
4 acre lots, I think 3 acre lots.
I think from talking to the irrigation district managers, it looks like they're starting to tighten that down because they're recognizing, I think, what Commissioner Mangold said is exactly the truth. I mean, you have people that can't hardly spell irrigation, but more or less know how to do it, but they're concerned. They want to do it and they want to try it and they want their place to look good. But water is a finite resource out here, and we have to make it convenient, make it thorough, and make it smart so that they don't drown their neighbor or,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing that we found this year that they have to understand a little bit is that you might want to drain the system in the fall so that everybody doesn't have all of their pipes broke in the spring. So it takes us.
We're going through that
extra
right now.
weeks. Yeah.
I live in Chugwater subdivision and we're
Yeah.
going through that right now as we speak. A gentleman that just moved in last fall. And he lives in central Indiana where irrigation is rain.
Mhm.
And he didn't have a clue. And it's got everybody waiting. But it is, you're right. There is a huge, and you don't think about educating the city guys, but
Right.
it's the same story. That's one reason I was thinking that every mailbox mailing might be a better solution than just say, well, we're targeting the small acres. Let's just put it out there and say, anybody that's interested in learning about irrigation will come over here and we'll talk about it. So that's what we're aiming at. Okay, is there any other questions you guys have?
Don't have any questions, but I mean, is the consensus we want to act on the request for $640 today? I mean, I would agree with Colleen. This is kind of a
Oh,
one,
I agree, it's a
one-time
one
deal.
time. I just didn't know what our budget situation is, if she can get an answer.
So I'm looking at.
I'm
you
correct.
have-
well, I was,
Yeah, are you looking at it? Well, I'm looking at the one that Steve sent out.
Yeah.
So
So
am I.
could this be contingency?
that's the only place you could put it. I mean, last year we did away with our line item about land.
We currently have $1,547 under the contingency. Is that
Correct.
correct? I'm looking at the correct
Yep.
same one.
We
Okay.
still have May and June to pay, but I mean, in the big picture of it,
We got money in there.
In the big
Yeah.
picture, we're
Yeah.
just under 29,000
For the good.
to the good. Line item under contingency, we're still at 50. We've only used out of the $2,000 budget, we have $453. So we have it there. I would support if Joe wants to make the motion.
I will. I'll go ahead and make the motion. We grant them the $640. My
Well, thank you.
only question is, I'm not sure that's going to be enough to do a direct mailing.
When I did
This is
that,
matching. It's actually-
Yeah,
it's a
I know,
match.
it's
But when
totally-
I did that, I got online and did that. I wish I could remember the acronym and I can't. But there's a place you can get on US Postal Service and get online and run it through. And that would do 2 mailings to the post office, to every resident in 82435.
and did you work with and I don't know how all that works, but you might work with the city of Powell if they have a bulk rate permit.
That-
The chamber, they have a bulk rate permit, because then that will even lower the rates. in
Perfect,
that
thank
case.
you.
Can partner with them,
Because I would have no problem going down visiting with either one of them.
to partner with them on their bulk rate.
Okay, because the person that I was working with was Ashley over at South Bighorn Conservation District. And she is one that walked me through how to get through this, and she was using that for her tree sales. And that for us this year was a major disaster, and they had one of their best years. And it was sourcing of tree material, and the other side was this mailing. And after seeing how well that worked, I was
Yeah.
thinking this would be the way we want to try to get this out. And so with what I knew at that time, it looked like that would come pretty close.
And, bulk rates are about a third of the price of a regular
Right.
mailing. And I don't know if they've added stipulations, it's been 6-7 years since I worked with bulk rating, so.
Well,
But
thank
I
you.
would say start with the chamber and the city of Powell, because they probably both hold bulk permits.
Perfect. Thank you so much, because that would, at this point, and we're all kind of in this together. We got to work together to figure out how we're going to make it work. But I think we're doing good. The other thing last thing we have to do with Work Group 3 this year is we're going to try to put together some sort of a field tour, August, September timeframe, probably end of August, 1st of September, trying to get in between barley going out and beets getting ready to harvest, so that we get a few things. But we will make sure that you guys are invited. We're starting to see some good momentum. We've got a lot of work to do, but we'll see how it goes.
Mr. Tilden?
Somebody second?
I
Would.
second.
Oh,
And so if the motion is made in the discussion, I'd like to, for the press's reasons, I really frown on using up money just because you have it left in your budget. However, I feel this is pretty cheap education. To be, the small acreage and subdivision is huge, ballooned here in Park County, so I think it's money well spent. And I know I've criticized other departments for using their money just at the end of the year, just because it's in their budget line. But so we're referring to the budget, although I just want the press to understand it's not because it's in there that we're doing this. Got it, CJ?
You've been quoted, Mike.
You'll know
Okay.
more later. Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone
Well,
opposed?
thank you.
Okay, motion
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Okay, if there's any other questions, you know where I'm at. Give me a call.
passes. Okay, thank you very much.
And we'll get that vouchered in, it'll probably go out in the June bills.
That's perfect. Thank you so much, Colleen.
If I have any questions, I'll call you.
Okay, please do.
And then this will just go through.
And yeah, and if there's any questions, Danny Woods is our soil scientist.
Okay.
He's there, but I thought probably because of the recent activity, it'd be a good idea for you guys at least have a brief update on where he's at. Okay, thank you guys.
Thanks, Ann.
Thank you.
Are you today?
A little bit early, I guess.
Oh, and she's here.
And she's
Hi,
here.
Casey.
I'm surprised she's here, but she's here.
Are you guys ready?
Yeah, yeah.
Hi,
we'll
Susan.
wait.
Yes.
When are you due? I didn't even know you were.
Any day.
I was fixing to say.
Any day, yeah.
I didn't know that, dear.
Thank you.
Congratulations, that's wonderful. Is it a girl or a boy, or do you know?
Boy.
A boy, all right. Always need more boys.
Yes.
There you go.
Sorry, I just kind of came in and.
No, you're up.
What you mean we always need more?
I don't know. I'm not gonna disagree with him at the moment.
You didn't jump up and agree with him.
Okay, good to see you.
You as well. So our numbers are looking good for 4-H this year. We've had over 100 new members this year already enroll, which is super exciting. And we've had several new leaders, which is also awesome. We always need leaders to help with the 4-Hers and the activities that are happening. We've got some good fundraisers planned for this summer that we're hopeful and optimistic are going to help make up the difference. We asked for less this year, planning to make it up with some fundraising opportunities.
I don't see her request.
Wasn't in the folder, wasn't in Colleen's folder.
Oh, well.
Yes.
Oh, right, just a minute.
What is your request?
6,000.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Same as last year.
Last year I think we requested.
You crested 8, but you got 6. So this time you're requesting 6?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay.
I'll send her information.
Any questions for Casey on the request or what's happening with the 4-H world? Appreciate your help on the fair.
My pleasure. I'm excited. It's going to be a good year.
Yes, yes, things are coming together pretty well. Anything else? 4-H? No? You get knocked pretty easy. I don't.
That was pretty easy. Well, thank you all. We appreciate all you do for our community.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Now we're really ahead of schedule.
Did they actually find all the judges and stuff they were talking about?
And they had 1 or 2 left, arts and crafts or something.
Oh,
The meeting
one
only
they
went till
wanted me to do.
7:30, just so you know. We were
What's that?
done at 7:30, just
Oh.
so you know.
No kidding.
No. Till we started. Oh, okay. Well,
Me to go early, I'm willing. I was
Um,
trying to tell them to do a little bit early.
not a public hearing, so we can move on.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I am Becky Ransom. I am the Executive Director at Yellowstone Behavioral Health. And I'm here today to support our request for emergency services funding. We're very grateful that each year you do help us offset the costs for this service. For those of you who might not know, we do provide 24/7 emergency services to the county. Also, the Title 25, the involuntary hold evaluations. In fiscal year 20, which we're almost at the end of fiscal year 21. But in fiscal year 20, we did provide 678 hours of emergency services, including 204 Title 25 evaluations. Fiscal year 21, which ends in June, we are on track for higher numbers. I think it's not a surprise to anybody that the past year has been hard, not only on our physical health, but also on our mental health. Also, mental health issues tend to way outlast any type of trauma or pandemic that people have to go through. So we're not seeing a downtick, and I don't expect a downtick. The state funding for us for fiscal year 22 has been cut almost 10%. And I know everybody's aware that state funding has been cut, I think, across the board. So that's not a surprise. What is a surprise for us is we're getting to the point where we're providing more services than we're getting paid for. And in the past, that hasn't been an issue financially, but now we are going to start facing hard decisions on the services that we can continue to provide. The state contract mandates that we provide these services, and we're very happy to do so in the community, but we can't do it without getting paid any longer. The funding that we've received from the county and the little bit of funding we get from the state for these services does not cover our expense. You have to keep in mind that not only am I paying a therapist to go out into the community, but when they're not in their offices, they're not providing billable services to the agency. So I'm getting hit twice for that. So our funding request is $70,000, but this is, you're paying for direct services that we're providing. Every dollar that you give us, I can show you a service that it has gone towards.
Excuse me, what was the amount of the cut from the state?
Almost 10%, so
Which equates to-
$160,000 that we had to cut for the upcoming budget. So it's becoming a little harder for us to continue at the same level for services as we see crisis services increasing and covering those costs. I might have to cut other services that we're providing to the community to offset that shift. Let's see.
So if I can, what type of services are we looking at?
For the,
That would be cut.
right now, one
I
thing.
mean, some you're under statute to continue, but
Right.
so what are you going above and beyond? Just an example, if I could.
Sure. One example, we provide wraparound services, case management services, in addition to medication management services, skill building, social rec for our clients with a serious mental illness. So we do a whole lot more than therapy. Our core service is providing the therapy, individual and group therapy. Those other services, although we're mandated to provide them, we might have to reduce the amount of services that we provide.
Question, the 70,000 doesn't cover, what you're losing from the state. So obviously you already know what exactly is going to be, you're going to have to do some cuts unless some
Right.
miracle rains money on you. So
Exactly.
you know exactly at least something that's going to
Yes,
happen.
and we have cut.
Yeah.
We've already cut. Our fiscal year 22 budget is still in draft form, but it does accommodate the cuts. Staff positions that have been vacated are not being refilled. But we have almost 900 clients who need us, and I've got 30 staff right now that I'm trying to maintain. So and I understand I think it's hard for everybody right now. It's no different for us or any other agency or county or city. The state is struggling right now. But mental health needs are increasing. That's that hard offset. I mean, we can't keep getting hit and continue providing services at the same level. So that's why I'm here.
So I'm guessing also during the pandemic that you saw a few more clients.
We've had an increase in clients. We closed our building back in March to in-person services, but we maintained telehealth video services for our clients. And so we didn't have a break. our staff worked harder the past year because we saw more clients, we had more needs to serve. And I really don't see that going away, even as a lot of the health issues might be decreasing, the mental health issues are gonna continue. Sadly, also among our young people, we're seeing more children and youth being evaluated for an involuntary hold in the emergency room due to a suicide attempt or suicidal ideation. And that's the reality.
So far, do you get the referrals? Do they come from police department, sheriff's department and all that, or?
Well, our Title 25 evaluations are done through the emergency rooms or the police. So that's somebody who has either attempted suicide or has considered suicide, and a family member or friend or police became involved. On top of that, we do have a phone number 24/7. So if somebody is just in a crisis, not suicidal, but in a crisis, they call and our therapists talk to them 24/7. So 3 a.m., doesn't matter, weekend, holiday, Christmas, we're always there for the county.
How have you found this year? You talk about the telehealth. Does that make it a lot more difficult for your therapists and how they?
Yes, because there is more to therapy than seeing somebody on a screen. And it's very doable. And in a lot of cases, it's been very successful. I will say that when we opened our doors to in-person, we weren't really sure how many people were going to convert over. Most of our clients did, and did so very willingly. They were happy to come back even behind a mask, because it's still hard to read a person's face when it's covered. But they wanted to get in, they wanted to see their therapist in person. So we still do have some that telehealth in. It might be due to transportation, because now we're going to continue this. So the silver lining is we've discovered a whole new way to provide services. And for some people, it works just fine. But yeah.
Thank you.
Just curious, has there been any talk down in Cheyenne that you've heard that's with this new pot of federal money that the state's getting, $1 billion+ reinstating some of the cuts to the Department of Health?
I wish there was. We have heard nothing.
Okay. You know, which is a darn shame.
I
I mean, it really is. I mean, if anything were to qualify for COVID related, this most definitely does. And that's one of the problems I had with this legislative session. I mean, some of the cuts they made, they shouldn't have made. And one of them, I mean, mental health in the state of Wyoming is coming in. It always has been a big issue, and it's getting worse all the time.
It is, and we're also facing for the next fiscal year, the House Bill 38, which is going to redesign the community mental health and substance abuse system statewide, and will put eligibility tiers for priority population on who we can serve. That's going to be a big hit.
The governor's letter yesterday did state the 5 areas, and one of them is the mental health area
Good.
that he's looking at doing the ARA money.
I did not see that.
Yeah,
but that's
and the
good.
governor has been very supportive of mental health, and so we're very happy about that, and we're lucky.
Well, I know from a commissioner standpoint, since you know, you've taken over all of our Title 25 stuff, the majority of it has saved us a lot of money.
And exactly, the diversion rate is still over 80%. So of the evaluations that we do, we're able to divert over 80% of those individuals away from hospitalization.
Mhm.
So we do try, and that's the frustrating part, is that the diversion should happen during the outpatient services area, not once they're in the hospital thinking about suicide. And so when we can't provide the outpatient services to help maintain and stabilize an individual, then they become a crisis, and then they become higher cost for
Right, sure.
everybody.
Well, I mean, in the past, that's what's always happened. There's no help for people until they get into a crisis mode.
Right.
And then all of a sudden Title 25 kicks in, but if you can catch them before they
Well,
ever
it's
get there.
It's the upstream, and that's
Yeah.
where we're trying to focus on, especially with the young people.
Mhm.
And getting the referrals from the schools and Department of Family Service and youth agencies. We can work with those kids before we see them in the hospital. We don't want to see anybody in the hospital.
All right.
Anything else? Okay,
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, and I appreciate your support.
we'll let you know. Thank you. way ahead.
Madam Chair, do you want me to do my TANF stuff now?
We could.
Yeah.
We have 30 minutes till a public hearing and I can't change the time on that, so whatever else we can fit.
There might be a whole crowd coming to this.
For TANF, I doubt it. I really do.
Okay.
Let me pull up my document here real quick.
Right, we can get to, originally that was at 1:45, so.
Yeah, it should be on your 145 document. I did do a breakdown after we heard from Georgia, our TANF administrator. So she awarded the county again $61,250. So at the top of my chart there, you'll see the last 5 years. And then what was requested for the 21-22 TANF was $94,300. So last year, we had the same amount. And so my second line item in the blue is what you guys approved, what the commissioners approved. But then on my third line in the green, you'll see I did break down it in percentages of the request of the 94,000. So it changed the numbers of the 61,250. So I'm just coming before you today to ask how you would like to approve the dollars going to each of these applicants for the TANF.
So if I understand you correctly, we can either look at the 2021, which totals the same amount of money.
Correct.
And the blue on the top line,
Mhm.
or we can look at the green on the bottom line where you broke out the difference we're not receiving by percentages.
Right.
Okay.
In the 2021, they only requested 72,000, so the percentages were different. This year, they requested 94,000. So
So the easiest way to handle it would be just do the percentage wise, which we've done in the past, whenever there's any type of, when our funding is less than the request,
right,
then we just go in and whatever percentage they've been getting of the overall amount.
correct.
That's the easiest way to do it.
So that's what I did was,
That's the green.
the green one.
Agreement.
The blue one was also, but it was on a different request. They asked for 72.4, where this year they asked for 94. So the
Right.
percentages were different. I just wasn't sure which one you wanted to use.
I'm happy.
Commissioner Randall, do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Anybody else have any questions?
No,
Pleasure of the board.
So you're waiting for the motion.
I guess.
I don't know whether I can state this correctly,
Just state
but I
the-
move to approve the 10th funding based on the actual funding and the split of requests shown in the green. Do I need to list each one and the percentage and amount
I can do that in the minutes if you'd like me to.
for a
By
total
looking
of
at your-
$61,250?
Sheet. Do you want each entity and what the full amount they get listed in the minutes,
Probably should.
in the motion? Okay, perfect, I can do that.
Do you want me to read those to you?
No.
Okay.
I-
I might die of a lack of second here before I'm done. So there's my motion.
I'll second.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, the motion is to approve the total of 61,250 with the breakout as listed by the percentage amount. All those
Which
in
is the
favor?
amount of funding received.
Provide. Right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Thank you.
Susan will notify them then.
Yes, they'll have to redo a separate,
Oh, that's right. So they
Application.
had to redo their
yeah, we'll have to
applications.
redo all that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Then we got 5 more minutes on the landfill fees.
At least, yeah. See where we're at.
You want me to call them over?
No, I'm just saying we just
Took
we
up
have
some of
5 more
that
minutes
time.
on the landfill discussion.
I figured you'd need it.
Madam Chairperson, you gonna try and work something else in, or are we on break?
I don't know what else we can work in.
Unless you want to do the auditor.
You could do
No,
the
we could do
auditor.
the auditor thing.
Okay.
You're up, Colleen.
Um, Hans, Odie, and myself, we looked over the documents, the bids. I should say, Carver, Floric and James LLC was the only bid we received, sorry. And we looked over the document as compared to in 2016 when we first hired them. The current rates in 2016 were 41.6 to 2020, the amount of 44.5. The cost difference always pertains to whether the county needs a single audit or not. This maximum quotes for the next 3 years are 48,000, 49,500, and in 2023, 50,000. And I want to state highly, this is the maximum that they would charge us. So if there's no single audit involved, we wouldn't pay the full 48,000.
Gonna pretty much be in a single though with the ARA money.
We will this year for, yeah, probably for the next 2 years, but then we may drop out again.
Okay. And these were requests for proposals, right?
Yes.
I make a motion, we approve selection of the auditor.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve.
You said one quick question. I might have missed it. I'm sorry, Colleen. What this is for how long?
Through 2023. So what
3 year?
happened? 4 year. Well,
Well,
3 years. Yeah, they'll audit us this year. Yeah. And then what happened prior in 16, so they did it for, I didn't bring the old document. Actually, this is for the next 4 years, guys.
Okay.
So it's 21 through 24. They'll audit our 23. So they're gonna audit us this year again. But anyway, what happened, and Joe, and you may remember, we came before the board and asked to continue them because of COVID and all of that. We didn't want to bring new people and all of that in, so you guys all agreed, and I think we ended up with 1 year additional.
that's this year,
Yes, that, well,
theoretically.
last year's.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We haven't started this year.
Well, the one they just, yeah.
I know.
Yeah, so. Okay, any further discussion on the motion to approve RFP for the auditor? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Passed. Notify them, Colleen?
Yes, I'll let,
I'll be back.
Okay. Yeah, pretty much break since the others.
Another break.
11:15.
Or like Title 25, do they still take people and put them in jail?
That's a kind
That's
of a
what they
gray
used to
area
do.
with the county attorney. Yeah, it kind of depends on what the recommendation is through these guys and what happens. A lot of times that recommendation, it's a mental situation, not jail, and they have to be held differently. So that's where the costs come into, that can be phenomenal.
Well, I know that I've been to the like Powell Hospital and they'll put somebody in the hospital and have somebody in a chair sitting outside the room.
And that's,
And
when,
it's-
when I first came on the board, there were several like that. When I saw the vouchers come through, that were just amazing.
Yeah, it's hospital
Yeah.
stay, yeah.
20 and a guard 24/7.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it adds up a
It
lot.
just
in a
seems
hurry.
so prehistoric that we're still in.
But how else, I don't know how else you deal with it. I don't know. Turning them loose isn't an option.
Well, there was talk about each county having its own psychologist, you know, and
Right.
it would be on staff, but that
That's
of course went by the
cost,
wayside.
yeah.
So that was even something that Colin was pushing for, I just never just provide funding.
Madam Chair, they're gonna try to move the vaccine up. We're gonna get Pete to come on.
Paxton and
Oh,
Midland
okay.
at 11:45.
Okay,
So we're giving him a call right now. If he can join us, then
okay,
we'll fill up the next 15 minutes once the other two come back.
okay.
Trying to save you lots of time.
What were the numbers for the auditor in the last year that missed that?
Oh, see, I think I typed.
45.
I don't know if I typed each number.
Yeah, we had that fair
No, I
meeting
just
and
did
she had the
2016,
agenda, and she didn't
41.6. And
Well,
then
I
in
talked to her after
2020,
that.
we
I
paid
said-
him 44.5.
I said, if
But I
they don't
have
say
the
anything,
in-between
just
years.
say
You want 'em?
not
That's
approved.
good.
Email Steve.
No,
if
and
you
they
want.
did.
No, I think that's good. So 44.5 is
It
for
kind
the
of mentally
audit they just presented
got two
in February,
people.
right?
Oh,
Yes,
So it
and
was-
that was
it
the
was
2020 audit.
Well done.
And I talked to Mayor Wetzel
Thank
too.
you.
Oh,
And I
And
said,
Brian, if you're
"We'll
listening,
show her
which I think
how
you
to
are,
get people.
you'll start at
Yeah,
1:15,
effectively.
right after
So,
lunch. You and Greg.
I think he went and talked to her. He's got sort of bitching about it.
Well.
She asked me,
No, I got it.
well, what should I do?
I tried to
said,
get
"Take
here. It's a Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I first started.
No, it's getting way long.
I just always think of that.
Again, well, I'm sitting in Tim French's chair, that's
Yeah.
why.
And if you stop them, it doesn't matter. But, well, I have Jake
Is that what it is? You sit
Yeah.
down in your hair.
Is that what it
Yeah.
is?
Yeah.
Beating in on you all the time?
Well, I mean, if I could grow a beard, I'd probably be out here.
Sorry, what?
Oh.
It's hard, and they're having this conversation, you don't, you learn that you have to. And I'm still not good at it. They get on a tear.
7:30 though, that pissed me
Oh, it's on the phone.
Yeah, I thought about that when I was leaving Powell, like, sorry, Scott.
off. Well, I'll definitely be there for the June meeting.
Okay, I don't know if I will or not, so.
My God, Patty, you got an armful.
Came prepared. You
I'm-
might send me away, but I'll take them with me and bring them right back.
I'm making Patty do all the heavy lifting today.
There you go, apparently. So we're moving to the facts and simple stuff.
Okay, that's great. All right, Madam Chair, so this is another partial vacation and amended plat. This is on the Facts and Simple subdivision, 178, and it's lot one of that. The applicant is Donald Faxon. The property is in the rural residential 2-acre zoning district of planning areas POW. We received the application for this amended plat on April 29th of this year. The applicant requests the approval, obviously, of this amended plat. Again, it's lot one of this simple subdivision. You see the amended plat in figure one on the third page. And it's essentially reducing the size of currently lot one from 12.39 acres down to 2.61 acres. And of course, we're vacating lot one, so it no longer will be lot one if you approve it, and it will become lot 101. Facts and simple sub, yeah.
I'm not finding this.
It's on page 20.
Look at 11:45
11:45.
Yeah.
time.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
we moved it up.
Yes, it was originally for 11:45.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Sorry.
Sorry to interrupt.
Nope,
Got it.
nope, you're fine. And so the Facts and Simple subdivision was originally approved on January 5th of 2010. And on July 30th of 2010, a record of survey was created. So the property just to the east of current lot one was 97.46 acres. Back in 2010, that was split into a just over 48 acre parcel and just over 49 acre parcel.
So this subdivision only has one lot?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep,
Correct.
one lot
Clarify.
one,
Okay.
yes. And the ownership of both lot one is essentially the Faxons, and the ownership of the neighboring parcel to the east is also essentially the Faxons. Different titles, but it's the Faxon family. And this location, as you know, likely, you can see it in figure 2. It's just about 1 mile east of Powell city limits. It's just on the south side of 14A, and it's just on the east side of County Road 7. And again, we classify this as a partial vacation of an existing plat. And so an amended plat is required, and an amended plat, our regs say, has to be approved by the Board of County Commissioners. Our planning director determined that really there would be no neighbors that would be negatively impacted. So it was determined that a public hearing was not required. We have on the bottom of page 4, we have the amended plat process. Fee has been paid. We did receive the amended plat. We shared that with you. This new lot size is consistent with the RR2 zoning district. So that's something that needs to be, we need to point out. In terms of neighboring land use, you see in figure 3 that this property is mostly surrounded by agricultural uses. And lot 1 is mostly flat. It does have an existing residence, and it does have a pond in the northeast corner. Madam Chair, we did not receive any public comments in regard to this. We did have the plat review committee look at this with the people that we've listed on page 6. On May 6th, there were a few minor changes and corrections identified. We got a new final amended plat back. We shared that with you. That amended plat, of course, has lines for owners and the commissioner chair to sign. We have some findings of facts that we wanted you to consider, and we recommend that you approve this. We have just one recommended condition, and we're happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Madam Chairman, the property information, it has Donald Faxon on there, and then it has Greg Anderson in there. What does that mean in the application?
Oh, in the application.
I can answer
Did he
that.
fill
Go ahead,
out?
Betty.
Mr. Chairman, it was for, he is the potential purchaser of the property. He signed as the applicant to begin with, or the property owner to begin with, so I have him re-sign as just the applicant.
All right.
Because he doesn't own it yet.
No question.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I move to approve partial vacation and then the plat of Faxon Simple Subdivision 178 Lot 1.
Second.
Okay, so moved and seconded for approval. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, approved.
All right, thank you. Is this 26, Colby? Thank you. Okay,
Yes, it is. Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, still have about 10 minutes.
We'll be back shortly.
Okay. You really don't have to carry it all back out.
I didn't know if it was gonna be, are you sure?
Yeah, you sure you don't want to carry it out again? I might have some more to add. I want to add to it.
Add to it.
Carry on, mister. Thanks.
Greg's buying all that farmland
Oh,
and the lot, basically the old plat cuts through the middle of that field. So,
Is he gonna put subdivision in, or is he gonna put subdivision in?
no plans to.
He's works construction, so
Lots of.
he builds homes.
What's that?
He builds homes. The
Well,
nice thing
yeah,
is he
that
builds
was his
affordable.
granddad's homestead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, see, Janie Faxon was an Anderson.
Mhm.
I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, okay.
That's his aunt.
did you look at Jeremiah's letter?
Just gonna open my email. Is it one to Brian?
Oh,
No, that's right.
That ain't it.
Should come originally from Jeremiah.
What's the title of it?
I don't know how long that licorice has been in before, but
Oh, my goodness. Gonna have a
it
dental
turned
bill if
into
you
an
need
all-day
it.
sucker. Colleen, were you serious about the room getting busy for the public hearing?
What?
The public hearing, you serious that there's controversy on it?
You're talking about TANF.
Oh, Tana.
Tana.
No, she was
No,
kidding,
no.
Susan.
Oh.
No, I was just
Depends
giving,
on-
I was giving Susan a hard time.
I will let Jeremiah know that.
And I see it,
What did I miss?
he's maybe one of the scheduled speakers for convention.
So, yeah, well, they were all three theoretically supposed to be there. We might be missing one.
I think John will be there.
Yeah, I think you
I
will.
think
He
the other
gave
two
Vermont's graduation speech on Sunday.
Oh,
He was in
okay.
Vermont. Except I can't reply to this because Lloyd sent it to me.
Yeah, each year there's a spot for you to sign up before you leave. Shot.
Yeah, I'm saying it wasn't.
No, I was going to say. Shot.
So I was checking our arms, we were like, here. She brings me a magnet. and tries to see if it's-
So Joe, let me ask you. a
Oh,
question.
my God.
She's like, yeah, you
got-
can try it. She's like, go for it. And she's
The
convinced
list of people that we, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
The list of people and agencies that we contact for SUPs, subdivisions, are any of those absolute
Two's
required
always
to have
easier than one.
response
Grandparents would love it too.
based on that?
Yeah.
I do not believe so. If you don't get you'll have to ask Joey about that, but my
I
understanding
plan
is
to.
if you don't get a response, that means that they have no problem with it, so it's okay. At least that's my understanding.
Okay.
I mean, we're required to notify those agencies,
Well, that's what I thought.
yeah, but they're not required to respond
That's what I
back.
thought.
Yeah.
Oh my, oh, isn't he handsome little guy?
Hey, Dwight, are you on any of those committees?
What's that?
Are you on any of these committees, the WCCA?
Yeah.
Which one?
Oh.
Ag land.
Oh, okay.
They have a bunch of them. It's all one. And they have.
Ag, water,
separate-
state and public land and energy and environmental committee.
We're each on some of them. I said we're each on one or two of them.
Right.
On those.
I
Yeah.
don't know if I'm on anything.
You may not.
No,
yet.
yeah, you'll be
You will
assigned, or you don't really be assigned. It's up to you. You can be on any one you want. Usually, the one, let me look at it. There's one there that just seems to not get very many elections.
No, I've got that one.
Well, I know you do. but
Yeah.
Just that one's
It doesn't-
probably
yeah,
the
Jake
least
and I-
requested.
Yeah, Jake and I both worked on that one. 'cause there is
So
more.
Jeremiah will assign it or?
No, he might tell you where there's some weak spots.
Where you may
or
be
lesser-
needed. You
Yeah.
go to anyone you want.
Yeah, but you can do, yeah. When are you getting there?
It'll probably be, I got things to do at noon, so.
Why don't you leave it after that?
Probably about 4:30. How long does it take to walk? 3 hours to land. 4.5. Yeah.
When are you getting there?
Well, that's changing as we speak. Did you get away down?
I'm driving myself. I have to be there for the board meeting at noon tomorrow. So I'm leaving at 6 in the morning.
Yeah, it was, I just finished the septic system. Well, the original plan was maybe to do the inspection Wednesday morning. I talked to Kim this morning. He actually sent somebody out to do it right now.
Oh.
So provided I don't have to redo it or something.
Did you get an approval or a permit?
Permit? Don't
Permit?
ask that right now. Oh, are you trying to cause? trouble?
Actually, I did not. And I don't have to.
The owner did.
The owner of the general does. And yes, they did have it. So I phoned in yesterday. Anyway, I may get that done early enough, so I may be able to leave her. I wasn't planning on leaving until Wednesday evening,
Right, that's what you had said.
or at least late afternoon. But now I may be able to go earlier.
Okay, I'll have to be there for noon. People will put me on
Either way, that's still. Depends what time we get out of here today.
That's right.
I was gonna get a haircut, but if I can get it all
Okay.
backfilled and done. I
Send me a
can
note.
be able to leave.
Okay.
Where are we going? I know Rock Springs, but where are we staying?
Holiday.
Holiday.
Holiday Inn? Where is that when you come into town? It's been a long time since.
You go past Elk and you go past the exit to, it's the exit after Western Wyoming
So I'm
College.
gonna come in at Farson,
Yeah,
right?
we're gonna come.
In the Rock
Yeah,
Springs
come in
on
from
the truck.
Parsons. So
when
you
I
go
come
past
in-
the Elk Street exit, or you get off of Elk Street, get on the interstate for just a moment,
you
go
do
past the Western Wyoming one, and then the next exit will take you down.
To the west. It's on the west end of Rock Springs.
Yeah,
Yes.
south,
If you get, yeah,
southwest,
southwest.
yeah.
Why
Southwest
it
end.
goes east and west.
Yeah.
There'll be a big billboard there, they'll say Hilton and whatever.
Well, they, that big. if I get
Holiday.
lost.
Holiday.
Oh, God.
I get lost.
Yeah. There is an exit above the holiday sign there when you get off.
So you'll come in on
So I
Elk.
actually get back on the interstate then.
Yeah,
and
you
head
get on
north.
Elk, you get on the interstate for just a brief moment, but don't take the first exit, which is Western Wyoming College. You take the next one. So then take a left.
Got that?
It's not that big, you'll be okay.
You never know. You know, I kind
Don't
of
end up down,
backwoods.
Next up, we have our county planning and zoning planner two, Tim Dillon, with a public hearing on Diamond K minor subdivision number 49. Sketch plan.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. So the landowners for this property are the Wrights. The applicant was Pete DePilla, who's actually also the surveyor. This property is in the GRP zoning district. The planning area is Cody Powell. We did receive an application for this in February of this year, including payment description and sketch plan, which you saw. The requested action is approval of the sketch plan. It'll be a 4-lot minor subdivision. There'll be 2 3.11 acre lots and 2 3.12 acre lots, all for residential use. And we did classify this as a minor because it is obviously more than what a simple would be classified as. I did mention the ownership are the Wrights. You saw on figure 1, you saw the sketch plan. The location is in figure 2. It's 5.25 miles southwest of Ralston. It's about 1.2 miles southeast of Highway 14A. It's on the north side of Lane 15. Of course, right there, that's right where the dam is located and where Lane 15 changes into Lane 14. I mentioned this is in GRP. These lot sizes are consistent with that zoning district. Neighboring land uses, you can see in figure 3 that it's a mixture of some agriculture, some residential. There are some subdivisions to the east of this property, and there is some BOR just on the north side, on the east side, and kind of to the southeast, and then BLM is to the south, and the Shoshone River is just to the north of this property. And also you can see that in figure 4, and that's also a topo map. In terms of site characteristics, this property is relatively flat, has a bit of a slope from west to east. The north boundary, though, does have a somewhat of a steep slope down to the Shoshone River. This parcel is currently vacant. Notice of intent to subdivide was published twice in February in the Pal Tribune this year. The public hearing notice was also in the Pal Tribune. That occurred on April 29th and May 11th. The notice to the neighboring landowners, that was sent on April 30th. That, of course, certified notice. Agency referrals were met. We have a list, since it's a subdivision, that we have to send them to. We send them to other people that we think might have an interest. Garden Light and Power, they said they have the capacity to provide electrical service to these lots, and currently they have power on the south side of Lane 15. Fire District 1 said they can provide fire protection as long as they can access the property. Park 1 School District said they can provide bus stops. They currently do provide them on Lane 15 and 14. Treasurer said that taxes are paid. Conservation District shared a report and a summarization letter identifying 7 soil types on the property. Postal Service said they can deliver mail. CenturyLink said they have existing services along this road and they can serve these lots. Black Hills Energy, they also said they have lines along this road and they can provide natural gas service. Of course, this is a minor, so electricity has to be made adjacent, which it is, and gas, if it's in the area, has to be made adjacent, which it also is. The Mary, the weed control district, she did initial inspection, noted noxious weeds. A weed plan has been approved by her. Game and Fish responded. They lately have been saying that with these subdivisions, they're concerned, I believe, about deer being attracted to plants in the subdivisions and negative impacts that might create. Public Works, we have a summary of their responses starting at the top of page 7. They talked about the frontage. They mentioned ultimately that access for lots 1 and 2 would not be a problem. They were concerned, if I read it correctly, about potentially lot 3 and really about lot 4 being too close to that curve. So they recommended those access points be moved back. And you can see in the sketch plan that the surveyor did do that. Essentially now there's 2 accesses, one for lot 3 and one for lot 4 on proposed lot 3 to get that distance back from the curve. And if I remember right, the engineer's office said that between driveways, I think there has to be at least 35 feet. And it appears like that has been met. Shown Irrigation District,
Can I interrupt? So is there an easement then down across the west side of 3 then to go down, it parallels the road then? Is that, am I reading?
That's what they're proposing.
Okay. I'm following now.
Yep, along the east side of lot 3 to access lot 4. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep, that's what they are proposing. Irrigation district, they've been sent a water distribution plan. We've not heard any comments back from them yet. Bureau of Rec, we did notify them and ask them for a response. Do you want to mention what?
Yeah, Madam Chair, the P and Z Commission wanted a specific response from them as an agency instead of just as a neighboring. So I got a hold of them, and that was on May 6th. They said they were working on it and they would get us a response shortly, but we haven't received a real official response from them.
Yeah. But like Patty said, they originally were notified as a neighbor. Then P and Z said, we want you to notify them as an agency. So we did. There have been public comments. I think there were 4 letters or emails. We shared those with you. The planning and zoning looked at this and they recommended approval. That was on April 21st of this year. They had some conditions. Some of those have been met. There's still possibly some conditions for the final plat that have not been met yet. There was a pre-application meeting that occurred on February 1st of this year. Fee has been paid. Title report, we do have a copy of that. I will mention that solid waste disposal services are available through private companies. And again, I'll just mention in terms of utilities, Garden Light and Power will be able to supply electricity. They currently are adjacent. Black Hills Energy will be able to supply gas. They are adjacent. CenturyLink has facilities in the area. They can provide service. I did, in terms of hazards, there are steep slopes along the north boundary of this proposed subdivision. In terms of the wastewater requirement, we did, there was a complete subsurface evaluation done. A perk test was done on lots 2 and 4. And the highest perk on lot 2 was 16. The highest perk on lot 4 was 8.3. Those suggest conventional systems will be likely. Excavation cuts were also made on lots 2 and 4, at least 10 feet. No groundwater was found. In terms of domestic water, so the applicants are proposing wells, and there was a water sample that was collected from a neighboring well. I think it's just to the property to the west of where this parcel is located. It's 1725 lane 15. And there was, Madam Chair, there was nitrogen was detected at almost 5 milligrams, but that's below the maximum contaminant level of 10. There was no coliform or E. coli detected, no iron or lead detected. TDS, that was reported at 523, which is above that standard of 500, but that's just a secondary standard because TDS is, essentially can look cloudy or can smell or can have a taste to it, but it's just a secondary standard. And ag impacts, the applicant just summarized, obviously there will be a reduction in land available for ag use, not that this has been used for ag. When I was out there, it appeared like it was mostly sagebrush. Of course, they will comply with weed and pest. This subdivision is not expected to introduce any pest or litter problems or domestic pet problems that could harass livestock, and they will be expected to follow irrigation rules. As I mentioned, the irrigation district has been contacted. They have received an irrigation distribution plan, but we've not received a response. And since this is a minor, our conclusion is no state review is required for irrigation facilities. And this property is not in any overlay district. Actually, I think even the northern boundary of this parcel is not even at the river's edge. And I don't even believe the northern boundary is in a floodplain overlay district, if I remember correctly. We have a list of findings that we found, and we have a list of conditions we recommend, and we're happy to answer questions you might have.
Yeah, I got a quick question. Just Not that it makes a lot of difference, but just curious as the relationship between the applicant and the landowner. You have any idea why we have a landowner with a different applicant? I know it's all proper because I checked and the actual landowner record did sign the application. I'm just curious.
A lot of times the surveyor will sign as the applicant on behalf so that the landowner doesn't necessarily have to appear.
Good.
Madam Chairperson, when you say Century Link services, is that just broadband nowadays, or are you talking a telephone system, or are they doing television? Or is it just internet now?
I don't know. I can look if we shared with you a letter, I can see what that says, but I don't remember off the top of my head what they said. Can I take time and find their letter real quick?
Sure.
And see what.
This chairperson moves the meetings along a lot quicker than our other chairperson.
Provide with its future communication needs is, I think, what the letter says.
Yeah, they said they have existing facilities in the right of way on the north side of lane 15 to serve all 4 lots.
Communication services.
Yeah, they just say communication services.
I'm hoping it means internet, so.
Yes, sir.
Madam Chair, in reference to agency referrals, are any of them absolutely required, or are they just a contact?
So our regs say Madam Chair, Commissioner Teal, so with subdivisions, we have a list of agencies that we have to notify. It's, if I remember correctly, it's Public Works, it's Game and Fish.
I'm in reference to a response back. Do we have to hear back from them?
Our regs just say they're to be notified.
Thank you.
Yeah, and they're usually very good about responding. In a timely fashion.
I know if I could interrupt, there's been numerous times where the Game and Fish has not responded. The reason being that they don't have a problem.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Madam Chair, if I know we're still in public hearing, but my reference is to condition 2. Comments and recommendations from Shoshone Irrigation must be received prior to final plat review. I don't agree with that. If they wish to comment and recommendations, they should and could, but the must of the condition means they could hold this entire thing up without responding.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but irrigation districts are an outlier on that because you are required to have a distribution irrigation plan in a subdivision, period, by state.
That is correct.
Yeah, and that is correct. And our regs, I believe, say we I forget the wording, but we get their review and recommendations back.
They have held them up before. They have held
Mike, back to my original question, is the agency referral, are they required by our county to have a response from every one of these referrals or agencies?
Irrigation district.
And the answer was no. That was why I said what I said. With the exception of now you're telling me the irrigation district.
Yep.
And I believe that we may want to reconsider that in this, we are what we are right now, but we all know what their feelings are towards subdivision. And if we get to the point where they can hold up every subdivision, everything within our county simply by not responding.
I think it's state statute. It is on water.
It's a state statute.
Water law. Irrigation
Do
law.
they have to respond in at least a timely manner?
That I don't know.
I know we're getting
For the
out of the
most part,
weeds here. I apologize, but.
Can make a note.
Well,
Check on it.
Madam Chairperson, if I could, was my understanding with any subdivision in order to be approved, they have to have an agreeable water distribution plan with the irrigation district.
Yes,
I mean, that's got to be in place.
yes.
Yeah. And that's by state statute, I presume.
Been there for a long time.
Yeah.
And Madam Chair, on that as well, or at least a statement from the irrigation district saying that they don't require one.
No rights or, yeah, there's several things that could happen, but
Yes.
at least has to be a response.
Anyway, I consider it a little bit different between agencies like the Game and Fish and the irrigation district. It's, it's not apples and apples.
Well, if it's all the same, then, Madam Chair, condition 2 is irrelevant. I can read it. Comments and recommendations from Shoshone Irrigation must be received prior to final plat review by the commissioners. If that's a statute, then it must be, then why we haven't add repeating it?
Does it point into it that this is a sketch? This isn't final plat, this is
No.
just a sketch?
Well,
So does that play into it?
Madam Chair, a lot of times, even though they're requirements by our regulations, sometimes the Planning and Zoning Commission reiterates what's even already required. And we've asked them and said, why do you need to condition something if it's already required otherwise, but they want it in as a condition, so
Yeah.
that's why we put some of those in.
Extra notification.
Okay.
Okay, any public comment? Okay,
Madam Chair, I move we close public comment. Public comment.
Second.
been moved and seconded to close the public hearing. Any further discussion? None, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board? on
Madam
this
Chair,
sketch plan?
I move to approve Diamond Cave minor subdivision sketch plan review without condition 2.
Without condition, which one?
2.
2, okay.
Have a second.
I'll second it.
Further discussion?
Yeah, just a point of discussion. Number one, I'm not sure whether we can do that actually. Because I think that is required by state statute.
Before the, Madam Chair, I agree with before the approval of the subdivision, but not, they're requiring it before final plat review.
Well, right,
That's the condition.
yeah. And which is a requirement, not only by our rules and regulations, but I think it's also a requirement by the state.
For approval of the final plat?
Of the final plat. It's got to be in place before the final plat. It doesn't have to be in place today, but it's got to be in place before the final plat.
So would that void the sketch plan review if it was, ruled that we went against the state or at least the statute?
You know, the only thing I know
Sure,
is in the
jeopardy.
past, we've had these questions come up. I know we had one held up here about a year ago. I don't remember which one it was, but down in the Powell area, and they were having some problems with the Shoshone Irrigation District. And as far as the distribution of the water and the water rights and who had what, and everything was held up until that was resolved. So it's not something that's new.
I don't know that removing it from this list makes any difference whatsoever because it's required by the state before a final plat can be
That's the way I
approved.
look at it.
So whether it's a reminder on there or not, it does not change the fact that the state requires it to happen before the final plat's approved. This is a reminder to the landowner and the developer and to all of us, I guess, to make sure that that's included.
I would agree with that, yeah.
Okay, have a motion. Any further discussion?
Would you wish to withdraw your motion? I'm afraid we might end up with a tie here and kill the whole thing.
We can't have a tie.
I would,
That's
I
what
would like
I'm saying.
to
If it's a
withdraw,
tie,
I would like
then
to
the whole
withdraw
thing.
my second to the motion and make another motion that we approve the Diamond K Minor Subdivision 49 sketch plan review.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve as listed, the sketch plan. Any further discussion?
My only concern, Madam Chair, is that we're giving the districts a way of stopping
It exists.
and by adding this to, but maybe not.
It exists either way. Is my.
That's my reasoning behind it.
Okay. So I have a motion and a second for approval as listed. All those in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Okay. Motion passes.
All right, thank you, commissioners. 27, thank you, Colleen.
Okay, now we're 5 minutes. Sure, you're doing a time frame here, guys.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
No, it's
all feels.
You never know how these days are gonna go. Okay, so now we have Planner 2 Ken Dovin with public hearing on Meadow Flower Minor Subdivision 50.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. So before I get into the staff report, I want to mention a couple things. So obviously you had a chance to see the staff report, and in that it had the sketch plan. We just received a new sketch plan this morning. And obviously we've not had a chance to look at it, we feel sufficiently. All of you have not even had a chance to look at it. We also, with that, we received that Public Works requested an erosion control plan. Our recommendation is that you consider possibly continuing this sketch plan. We talked to Mr. Edwards in Public Works. He had concerns, not that we shared this new sketch plan with him. I don't know that he saw concerns, but his concern was he hadn't had a chance to look at the sketch plan thoroughly. And again, you all have not even had a chance to look at it at all. I will mention, it appears like what has been added to it are utility easements and irrigation easements.
Procedure question then, if we were to continue the public hearing to a future date, do you have to re-notify? Is there a cost involved for the developer?
I don't believe so.
No.
A future date.
Not if it's to a date certain, date and time certain.
The only thing you have to do to continue the public hearing is you have to set the time and date.
Right. Right, but we can without, I was just looking at costs and if that actually changed things for them, but if it's
Madam
time.
Chairperson,
Yes, sir.
Kim, how much time do you think you're gonna need to review that?
I would say probably, I mean, to get comments back from Public Works, I would think at least, or are you wondering if we could have it done by this afternoon?
No.
Or a day? I would think a day at least.
Well, I mean, we won't meet again until the 1st,
June 1.
so if that's sufficient.
I would think so. Yeah.
Okay. And,
Put on our agenda,
And
10:20 on June 1.
And Madam Chair, if you want us to proceed and otherwise talk about what's in the staff report, we can, whether or not you choose to continue, or we can just start from fresh at
What's
that
the
date.
pleasure of the board with missing Chairman Livingston? Do we want to wait and review the? whole
I would say let's wait, because obviously we have new information that we've just received. And I don't want to listen to one thing and then maybe have that change 2 weeks from now and get confused. I'd rather hear it all at once.
Okay, so I'll need to, is there any public comment at this point during the public hearing?
So I guess my question is, and this is where maybe I misunderstood. So when the meeting was scheduled, with the paperwork that we have received, so we tried to address all the, or resolve all the objections, I guess, or conditions that were in the, I'm not sure, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with all the language, in the resolution, I guess. So what you guys have received to this point is our original sketch plan. So that's what we had and discussed in the very first meeting. So none of that changed. We're just trying to actually update and go through all those items and provide you the most updated information. So if you were to proceed right now, you're probably just gonna go through what was already discussed prior in the previous meeting. And then we would probably set up a new meeting and we'll be updating those, resolving the conditions and providing you with more information. That's what we do.
I believe that the scenario that we have is planning and zoning reviewed it as it existed then, but the changes just came in this morning. Had the changes come in a few days ago, they might have had time to review it ahead of this hearing. But because they haven't even had time to review it, it's hard for them to promote it to us for approval. So I think if we're going to have to extend it in any format, we might as well wait and get the whole picture at the same time after they've had their final review, which isn't gonna change the time frame at this point. Yes, sir.
Madam Chairperson, I'll move that we go ahead and.
We gotta close the public hearing.
No,
Oh,
no,
that's
no.
right.
I want to continue the public
Sorry,
hearing.
yeah.
As my motion to continue the public hearing of June 1st at
10:20.
10:20, June 1st, 10:20.
Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion to continue the public hearing to June 1st at 10:20. Any further discussion? None, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. So they will get a full review and we'll put it at 10:20 on the 1st. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Keep it open until June 1st.
Well, that stays open because it's continued.
So we don't have anything. I have a question. If I could ask. So in reference to the one prior to this, how come we didn't have a right to farm act in reference to the one prior to this?
You know, that.
Or do we choose to use them or not?
You know, we should be consistent. That is one of our final plat conditions, that Wyoming right to farm and ranch language go on the final plat. That is a condition. Either we should always put it,
I see them now.
that is a final plat condition. And then that's one of the things we look for when we look at the
Okay,
final
but
plat.
it wasn't a condition.
We should either